Lesson 3. So all the remedies that we've looked at can, and the ones that we're going to look at, can be used for moods, because any one of us can fall into these moods at any one time. So any person could need any one of those remedies at any time. Yeah, that's the moods. So the type remedies are something different. These are linked to basic character types. For example, if someone's feeling impatient because they've maybe broken their leg and they want to get up and about and do things, or they've been ill, or they just have got a lot on their plate and so it makes them feel impatient, then that is a mood, isn't it, that they're in? That's a particular mood. But if someone is always feeling impatient and always that nobody can go as fast enough for them in their work or whatever, then the Impatiens would be their type remedy. So that's the difference between the two, briefly. I'm hoping that you're making use of the workbook, because this workbook, and there's the other one that's got slightly different cover, has got lots more quizzes and tests that I think you would really find help to round out your knowledge, as well as what we're going to go through in these lessons. So there's a recap then of the 38 remedies. Any of the 38 remedies can be type remedies, and that would be false, because you couldn't have a wouldn't normally have like a cherry plum type of person that was losing control, or a Star of Bethlehem type of person. So that would be false. But any of them could be mood ones. Yeah. So there's no such thing as a Gauss type of person, and normally you would say that that was true, that there isn't a Gauss type of person who is falling into despair. That is the mood that they're in, not their personality. This could be a room for debate, actually, because it could be that you would think, oh well, in that case, so and so and so and so, but you can argue with it, because it could be that there are circumstances where you think, well, they got an innate hopelessness about them that has come through in their DNA. 3, people can change their type several times a year. Well, you can't change your type several times a year. You can change your mood, but the type of person that you are stays the same. It's overcoming some of our traits that we're not particularly fond of. That is the difficulty. The only people who ever get in a negative vine mood are vine types. Other types always act differently. Well, vine are the bossy people, and they're good leaders, but the negative one is really bullying people. But it could be that even like the Centaury person is very passive and often called a doormat, got it written on their forehead, doormat, use me, and they could turn into a bossy type of person at some point. It depends, doesn't it, on their mood and circumstances. Our mood and circumstances change all the time. So any of the 38 remedies can be mood remedies, and that is absolutely true. We're going to look now at these different remedies. This time we've got Agrimony, Centaury that I mentioned, Chestnut bud, Impatiens, Chicory, oak, Clematis or Clematis, Vervain, heather, water violet and willow. All very, very different remedies. So I'm looking now at what you've got in front of you, and I'm looking at page 3, and there's got an explanation and the remedy is missing. So you may have chosen to print this out, which I hope you have, and had a look to see which one you think it is. So the jovial, cheerful, humorous people who love peace and are distressed by argument. This is Dr. Bach's way of explaining it. They have troubles, but they hide their cares behind humour and jesting. So people don't often know just exactly how bad they feel, and sometimes they might use alcohol or drugs to help to take their mind off things and cheer themselves up. So this would be Agrimony, and that is such a common one to use for people. If you feel that that's you, don't be surprised, because so many people put on a jovial front, and they can't open up to people, and sometimes it would be good if they could. The next one is for those who take a longer time than others to learn from the lessons of life. So sometimes somebody learns a lesson once and that's it. They're never going to do it again. Maybe the first time they've ever got drunk and they think, oh, I'm never going to do that again. And they don't. Whereas other people, they keep on and on and on and on making that same mistake. And that's not unusual either. It's not just about drink, it can be anything. But this is chestnut bud, and that's for breaking the chain of a habit and finding that making the same mistake over and over. So that is a good one to remember, chestnut bud. This one, they dreamy and drowsy, not fully awake, quiet people, and they're happy in their own circumstance, and they're living in hopes of happier times when their ideals may come true. So they're dreamers. When they're ill, they might make not much of an effort to get well, and they sort of don't sail through life, they sort of like dream through life. And this would be the Clematis personality, or Clematis. That's for the dreamers. And that one, Clematis, is also good for someone maybe with epilepsy, particularly absence epilepsy, because that's helping them to stay alert. Yeah. So the next one here on page 4, those who are quick in thought and action and who wish all things to be done without hesitation or delay. When they're ill, they're hasty for recovery. I think you know this one already. They consider it a waste of time to go slowly, and they want other people to be quicker. I don't know who that could be. And they often prefer to work and think alone, because then they can do things at their own speed. And this would be Impatiens. The next one is very common with people that are in a caring position. They're for those that are struggling and fighting strongly to get well or to get on with their daily life. And they will go on trying one thing after another, even if their case seems hopeless. If illness interferes, they will carry on, they will fight against great difficulty, and they will carry on until they hit the wall. And then they can make themselves ill. They're the sort of person that you would always trust to do your work. And if they were in an office, you can imagine, think, oh, John, he'll do it, because he loves a challenge. And so this would be oak, people who are steadfast, strong, but they can only take so much. They can't keeping on. Nobody can. The next one, the last one here on page 4, is for those who have suffered adversity and they really find it hard to accept without complaint and resentment. And they feel that they haven't deserved it, and quite often they haven't deserved it. but they don't realise that these things are happening to other people, and they become very, very bitter. And that is the willow. And some people are willow all the time, and some of us become willow now and again. And we can all be willow, because we all sometimes feel a bit sorry for ourselves, and then we have to pick ourselves up and brush ourselves down and start all over again. But when we're feeling a bit sorry and think, oh, why me? That's the key phrase. Why me? Why does it always happen to me? Oh, of course it will be me. That is the willow frame of mind. So we're going to look at these notes here on these other ones, and as we go through, I'd like you to make some short notes, because it's the same ones, but we're going to go through it so that you can make it your own. Because the other one, it was writing, the writing was all out and you just put the answer, and this is actually making it your own. You could even think of people that it might apply to. Could be famous people or someone that you know. So if you make notes, you think, oh, that's like Doris, or that's like George, because it will help you later to remember these. So Agrimony is the first one, and that is for people who they hide their cares behind a smile and a cheerful word, and they sometimes have a drink or smoke or something else, some other sort of drug, to overcome the way they're feeling, and that they are struggling, but they don't let people know. So that would be Agrimony. And Chestnut bud, and don't forget, you can make the notes from in here. There's a glossary at the back, and there's also the handouts that I've given you have got notes on these. So chestnut bud is for people that keep making the same mistake over and over again, and so that can be any sort of situation. It could be the people that they make friends with, or that they marry and they don't learn a lesson, or so many different avenues that I'm sure you could think of quite a few yourself, that where people just haven't learned the lesson and they just keep learning that same lesson again and again. So we've got Clematis, the next one, for people who look to the future, but they don't actually work towards the future. They just dream, you know, oh, I'd like to be a job as an engineer, but they just think about it, or I'd like to be an architect, or I'd like to be a gardener, but they never go into the garden. They just sort of think about it. And so they're the dreamers. They're lovely people, but you know, when you get to know a Clematis sort of personality, that they're never actually going to do something. So you just listen, and if they then come to you and they talk about it being a problem, that's when you can give them Clematis, because they don't want to feel like that anymore. Who does? Impatiens, that's a nice easy one, isn't it? For Impatiens, that's a busy Lizzie. I believe it's a wild busy Lizzie that they picture on the Batch website, not the one that the really colourful ones that we have in the garden. So Impatiens for Impatiens, that's the easiest one to remember, isn't it? Then we've got Oak for strong people who never give up but hit the wall when they've just done too much. And I've met many, many Oak people, and that's when they will usually go to a therapist, when they have absolutely hit the wall. So it would be nice if used preventatively. If they're that Oak personality, it could be taken before they get to the stage of wearing themselves out. So a lot of therapies are actually good for, and this is why people go for regular massage, regular reflexology, and taking the remedies when you learn how to use them yourself and you've got the remedies at home. then it can stop it in its tracks from actually going too far. So how good would that be? And then we've got Willow. The last one here that we're going to look at is for people who are resentful and bitter. And why me? Why does it always happen to me? And it's something that happens to everybody, but they don't want to know that. They just think it's them that it happens to, and that life's unfair. And quite honestly, a lot of people have got every reason to feel that, because I'm sure you've all met, and you, unfortunately, you might be the sort of person where a lot of really difficult things have happened with your health, with your family's health, your friends' health. And so Willow would be an absolutely understandable place to be, but Willow would help to prevent that from taking over and just in that mire of feeling sorry. So how much better would it be to have that lift? So if you ever feel like you're thinking, oh, this isn't fair, or why me, it's the Willow frame of mind. We're going to stop there, and I'll make another video on from page 7.